All right, YouTubers, Flip Moto here. That first part of the video, I talked about the RS660, the 1-year ownership, some of the upgrades that I've done, and I went over the software and the IMU and kind of what it's like living with some of the stock elements of this bike and why I did a few upgrades here and there. This video, part 2, I'm going to go over the big elephant in the room, which is the reliability. We're going to go over some of the costs of ownership and then a few of the race options that you have for this bike. Oh, hey, hi. Oh, no problem at all. Hi, buddy. Yeah, so dog interruption. No biggie. All right, yeah, so we're going to go over, we went over the software, so I'm not going to go over any of that. But yeah, let's go over the reliability of this thing. Let's start it up. Here we are near downtown Austin by the Mexican Art Museum. Everybody takes their dog to take a shit here. It's one of these holdouts for the skyscrapers around here. It's kind of cool. Kind of an up Pixar moment. Okay, so reliability issues with the RS660. Everybody knows about the first batch engine recall, unofficial recall, that had to do with the control arm on the engine was bad. And they officially did not recall it, but told everybody they were going to rebuild the engine for them. And I believe that happened to the first 800 or so that were shipped to the United States. I don't know anything about the European models. I just know that I did not get one of those, and I waited about an extra 3 months while they figured that all out and shipped the second batch. So that's a well-known issue, and that's over, and it's not a problem at all. And then we have the second issue that seems to pop up on the internet is all about the engine light. And I had that happen, for sure. I think a lot of people did, and it really was not a big deal. It's really just emissions-based issue. And I mean, some people complained about having to wipe it off, and maybe some dealerships charged, and some dealerships didn't. Mine went away on its own, so I don't know why. That would have been a big deal for any dealership to charge for something like that. A lot of it had to do with just emissions. Running ridge, a misfire here and there, not a big deal. And honestly, I don't think I've ever had a bike that didn't do that. So I don't quite understand I think it's maybe just new owners, or possibly, you know, oh, I have an Italian bike and it's gonna have problems. But this happens to British bikes, it happens to Ducatis, it happens to KTMs. I haven't really owned a digital electronic run Japanese bike. Most of the Japanese bikes I've ever had have been dirt bikes. I have ridden a Yamaha here or there and a Honda here and there, but never long term, so I don't know if they have the same emissions issues. But when it comes to European bikes in the Euro 4 and the Euro 5, they definitely are overly sensitive. That's just it. They're overly sensitive. Now, one issue that isn't really talked about that did happen to me more than I was happy with was random shutdowns of the engine, almost always in 5th gear. And I don't quite know if that was an emissions issue, but it happened to me more than I was comfortable with. I got used to it to the point of where I just flip the red switch, pull in the clutch, obviously, flip the red switch, and then just start the bike back up, make sure I was in 5th gear again or 4th gear, and rolled on. The first couple times it happened, I pulled over, wondered, you know, what the hell's going on? And then the bike would just start right back up. What fixed that and the engine light was I went and got the race ECU upgrade, like I had mentioned in the previous video, and I've not had one single issue ever since then. Not one misfire, not one emissions run rich, run low message, no random shutdowns of a bike, you know, knock on metal, plastic, wood, whatever that is, no issues. So I definitely would confirm that that is a Euro 4, Euro 5 oversensitivity issue going on with that, because the race ECU pretty much just, you know, it's for decatted system, and so it just doesn't even have that problem. Man, it looks like threatening rain. So, is reliability an issue if you're about to buy one of these? Maybe. If you're oversensitive. If you like your dashboard to never have a warning whatsoever, I would say don't buy a European bike. If you're not going to worry about that type of thing, or you plan on decatting it and getting the race ECU, then it's just not an issue. Now, maybe you don't want to get a race ECU and you don't want to spend the extra money. Then I'd say you're going to deal with some emissions irregularities once in a while. I don't think that's exclusive to Aprilia. I think that's going to happen to anything with Euro 5 or Euro 4 compliance. I'm not an expert in emissions. I'm not an expert in these ECUs. So don't take my word for it. That's just my experience. I had a Street Triple that I just recently sold, and that thing had the check engine light was on way more often than this was. And almost always it was just a misfire or battery low or just something stupid electrical or emissions based. And it was never ever really a big issue. Okay. What else do we want to talk about? Let's talk about